Shedeur Sanders threading the needle today at OTAs in Cleveland. Great for your OTA fantasy lineups. The Browns, of course, drafted both Sanders and Dillon Gabriel in April. Head coach Kevin Stefanski was asked about his 2 rookie QBs this week.
They are both wired to get in early, stay late, put in whatever work is required. They're sponges in the meeting room, which I think is really fun for me. In my vantage point, I get to sit there and watch the 2 young guys look over, and there's Joe, 40 years old, won a Super Bowl. There's Kenny Pickett, won a Super Bowl last year. They can kind of feed off of all those guys.
Some top stories with Adam Schefter in the house. Shefty, let's go right there with that crowded Cleveland QB room.
Well, they have time to sort this out, and they're in no rush to make a decision. I think most people believe that a veteran will wind up starting for the Cleveland Browns, probably Joe Flacco, but there is a whole preseason to play out. Very rarely have we seen a rookie mid-round draft pick ascend to a starting job, but they're all going to have an opportunity to do it this summer. People wondering about Micah Parsons, whether or not he'll attend the Cowboys' mandatory minicamp. Well, he tweeted out yesterday he will be there, despite the fact that he has not always been there for OTAs. He has been in talks about an extension, and at some point in time, he's going to become the highest paid defensive player in NFL history. Meanwhile, Kyle Pitts has been dealing with a strain in his foot, which is why he hasn't been practicing. There have been teams that have called the Falcons. They don't want to part ways with them unless they got something that they couldn't turn down. But there are teams that are calling, and Pitts has been dealing with a foot injury. We'll see how that one plays out. It is worth watching. And speaking of tight end news, the Pittsburgh Steelers lost their tight end Donald Parham yesterday. He wound up tearing his Achilles. They also have had conversations with the Dolphins about a potential Jonnu Smith trade. So a couple of tight end question marks in Pittsburgh while they wait for the biggest question mark of all to be answered, and that's what are the Steelers doing at quarterback? Let's keep in mind, the Steelers have a mandatory minicamp that opens next week, Tuesday. They report to training camp 7 weeks from today, and we still don't know whether Aaron Rodgers is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback. We've heard Art Rooney, the Steelers owner, say that they expect that Rodgers eventually will sign, but here we are, June 4th. Nothing but silence. And at some point in time, if he's not there for the mandatory minicamp and he's just planning to show up for training camp, does that organization have a conversation and say, should we be calling the Atlanta Falcons to see if there's a way to get Kirk Cousins in here if we have not been given any assurances from Aaron Rodgers? But the question that has hung out there all offseason continues to hang out there now. We all wait for answers from Aaron Rodgers.
And that QB1 question will continue to dominate the offseason. There's a new QB1 in Nashville. The Titans drafted Cam Ward first overall. Ward talked about his wide receiver one, Calvin Ridley, this week.
That man a dog. He can win versus press man. He knows zone. I think he's one of the top 5 receivers in the NFL, if not the best.
You know, he just ain't just calm. He relaxed. So, I mean, you need that at the quarterback position, man. You can't be just... Can't just be an overthinker, a jittery guy. You just got to kind of, be okay with, up, doing good, and, just got to have that mentality. He kind of got that.
Booger, McFarland, Lewis, Riddick joining us again here on NFL Live. Bleep it mentality, Boog. Good advice for a QB entering the NFL?
Well, listen, as Mike Tomlin once said, I'd rather say woe than sick him. I don't mind a guy that has a mentality that he wants to go get it all, and I got to rein him in a little bit. But I'm just going to pivot a little bit. You heard what Calvin Ridley says, man, he's just so calm and just so relaxed. Think about the quarterback that we said that about last year. Think about that guy. That guy was Jaden Daniels. It's an amazing attribute that a quarterback has to have, the calmness, the poise, the relaxation in the pocket, almost nonchalant. I think Cam Ward is in for a big season, and I love the attitude when you talk about the effort attitude. It doesn't matter, and we know it matters, but it's the attitude that I'm willing to throw a ball in the tight coverage so my receiver can go make a play. I think every receiver on that team will benefit from that, and I think the coaches will say, you know what, we like you being aggressive, and if you get too aggressive, Lewis, we'll bring you back just a little bit.
Yeah, one of the first things I want to say about Cam Ward is the coaches down at Miami, Mario Cristobal primarily, said this is one of the greatest leaders in the history of the Miami Hurricane football program. Let me put that out there. This dude is a dog. He is legit. He is for real. Okay, he does have that mentality of where he'll say, hey, look, I'll take a chance because I believe. I believe in me. I believe in my pregame studies. I believe in my ability to, detect tendencies, and I'm going to try and take some chances that maybe I shouldn't take all the time. And sometimes it works with fantastic plays. Sometimes it got him into trouble this past year. He's going to have to rein some of that in, especially some of the cross-field throws, some of the, lack of ball security in the pocket. I was at a game at Georgia Tech where he had the ball knocked off of him late as he's trying to extend the play. Here's a game against Cal. I think the thing that you're going to see with Cam Ward as this season goes on and as his career progresses is that this guy is a football savant when it comes to being able to digest large amounts of information and really play at a high level in terms of football IQ. I love the kid, absolutely love him, and he is a stone-cold killer of a leader, and I think that's exactly what Tennessee needed.
And Lou, you're not the only one who loves him. Essentially, the Titans have loved him all through the draft process. The Giants loved him. The Browns loved him. These teams tried to trade up. The New York Giants offered 2 number-1 draft picks in addition to other draft picks to try to get up to number 1 to go get Cam Ward. And the Titans really never entertained any offers, never engaged in any meaningful trade discussion. They were locked in on staying at number 1 and taking a quarterback who, the way he plays the game, reminds them of Patrick Mahomes, not with the arm talent, but with the instincts. With the instincts, Lou, that's what they think,
exactly.
Right?
And you would think that's what Ridley's talking about with that bleep it mentality, not having it become the YOLO ball that basically cost Will Levis his job. Tennessee, a -16 turnover margin last year, worst for the franchise in 30 years.